What up, everyone? It's your boys with Through the Ropes podcast. This episode is brought to you by Great Northern Dispensary. If you need some bud that's better than good, get to Great Northern. Today we have a really awesome episode. We're here with a man who personally has helped be pretty instrumental in my fitness journey, and I'm sure he also has helped Drew and Paris along the way as well. Great Falls native, I believe, and longtime business owner. We have Wayne Morin with us. How you doing, Wayne?
Great, Jake. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored to be here. Have been in Great Falls since 1990, but I was born back east in Massachusetts, so a little clarification on that. But other than that, longtime resident and great state to be.
See, here I thought I knew you a little bit. Find some. Where at on the East Coast are you from?
Massachusetts. I was born, and then I grew up in New York, upstate New York for a while.
Okay.
Kind of all over the East Coast after that. So.
And then what brought you over to Montana?
Yeah, great. 1989, I believe. I enlisted in the Air Force, and I spent 6 years out at Maelstrom Air Force Base, which is what led me to opening up Total Nutrition and Fitness at the time back in 1995. So from that time span in 95 to 98, it was operated as Total Nutrition and Fitness. I don't know if Drew remembers it quite far back, but I know you were original
TNT guy.
Yes. So 98, we just switched over to TNT when we incorporated the tanning to make it a little bit more mainstream with the name is all. So.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Thank you for your service. I also didn't know that, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
so
you're welcome.
Yeah, I kind of remember, I think it was a long time ago now, but you were a coach at North Montana Wrestling, weren't you? That's when I kind of first, I was a kid then, but that's when I kind of first met you and knew about you. And
Sure. Yeah, I think I started in the North Montana Club in approximately 1998 and dedicated about 10 to 12 years of helping the youth wrestling program, as an assistant or a volunteer coach at the time. And
so were you pretty good in high school back east then on it, or?
No, I didn't wrestle at all at back east.
Yeah.
Even in high school, I was just into football, weightlifting, baseball, all the normal sports. Back east, where I grew up in the small community, wasn't real heavily populated with wrestling at the time. And I just felt it was a great sport to get my kids invested in, and they started out in Taekwondo basically, and transitioned into wrestling when the appropriate time came. So
right, when it could still make it fun and stuff, and they engaged it. And that's one of the things about your kids, that you can't force them to do it. You guys kind of guide them, make it as fun as possible, and so they keep wanting to go. Yeah,
there's lots of different approaches to parenting, and I'm sure we all have our own unique ways and different approaches, and some are right, some are wrong, and probably most of them are meet right in the middle. But as long as you're pushing them forward to strive for better things, I think it's instrumental in having kids have goals and driven things to achieve in life. So
yeah, I agree on that too. I drifted too long in life without goals, trying to figure things out.
Sure.
Feel that, dude. But you're here now. We're working on it every day. As long as you're conscious of it and working on it, I'd say that's kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah, man. I just want to say thanks. You've literally, your place has helped me since 2010 or 12, somewhere in that area.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, man. One of the few places that I trust their stuff going into my body. And if I come and talk to you guys, I know I'm getting solid advice. I've gotten solid advice literally the entire time.
Appreciate that, Drew. And that's something we pride ourselves on is more or less, developing relationships and friendships and trust. I mean, there's millions of products out on the market, and there's a lot of misinformation on products as well. And I feel one thing that has, giving us some stability within the industry, especially in a small community or smaller community like Great Falls, is the trust and the knowledge that we can project, and looking at the consumer's individual best interests and not just trying to push products and make sales. That comes in time, and that's it's all individual based needs and goals. So
yeah, for sure. I know I've been very, I don't know if you want to say outspoken, but
yes,
you guys
appreciate it all.
No, dude, like you guys, I was, the story, but I was struggling tough when I was getting sober, and I mean Jeff Garda-P got me on the right track as far as getting in the gym, and I was obviously losing weight, but I wanted to dial it in. And I mean, shit, that was over 7 years ago now. And you guys have, I mean, I probably owe you guys a lot of money because it's either you or Jake. You guys are always letting me in there, picking your brains about different kind of diets or routines. I mean, Jake I mean, I paid him, but he made me a routine.
Sure.
I mean, I probably owe you guys way more than.
No, you
him,
don't.
and-
You owe yourself that credit and that accountability that you provided. We just hopefully offer some insight and some mentorship and, you know, some guidance to help provide enough necessary tools for people to, you know, embark on their own fitness journeys and be successful in the process, you know. And like I said, you know, there is so much misinformation out there and myths, and especially with social media now, and everybody's a guru and a know-it-all. It's really hard to stay neutral in a saturated market that is, you know, full of misinformation. You know,
those people tend to weed themselves out. I feel like eventually, but sometimes they get it takes them a little bit longer. But
that's true, Jake.
One thing I always thought about you guys was I felt like you were never just trying to push a product onto me. You, like you're saying, you understood like everyone's body is built differently. We run differently, but you knew my dedication in the gym. So you knew what I was doing and trying to do. So I felt like you guys, you know, you were creating something for me or giving me information that would be pertinent and crucial to my gains and what I was trying to achieve. So
perfect. Yes. And that's the thing. The formula to success is just laying the groundwork, and most people overcomplicate the process. And, you know, when we have customers first come in, you know, one of the first things I ask them are, you know, what's your goals? What's your nutrition like? You know, what's your current activity? You know, it's not about, hey, let's put you on a pre-workout, you know, right now, because this is going to get you, you know, it's like there's stepping stones and building blocks just like anything else. Yeah. So,
Are you going? Okay. Have you got any gains? Are you stuck? Okay. What can we do from there?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. How's your diet? I don't want to talk about it. I'm bulking.
That's the most, that's the toughest aspect of, you know, health and wellness for most people, sustainability and long-term, you know, finding a lifestyle that fits their needs, that, you know, as much as we all socialize and embark in, you know, gatherings, it's usually food based or, you know, in your past alcohol based. Like there's a lot of different variables that you try to find some balance and some long-term vision with what you're seeking, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's just always for me, and I'm sure that Drew and just there's probably a lot of people you guys have helped, but it just it was you took it more than just someone also that was selling me a product. You guys have become, you know, friends. Like I said, I like to stop in there regularly. I like to brag about, you know, I did the Spartan race and I just did the Burn the Bird, and it's just for me, it's like I do those things, but I feel like I am doing those because, you know, your guys is just some of the inspiring words that you've given me throughout the years.
I appreciate that.
You know, it's a group collective, but you and Jake have been very supportive about what I've been trying to do.
I do feel over the years, that's one thing that's benefited the community is, you know, you can only do so much yourself as an individual, but I've been really well blessed and grateful for the incredible staff and friends that I've had along the way. You know, I've kept lifelong relationships with, you know, Trevor Florshinger, who was my manager for 10 years and was Josh's, you know, wrestling coach that we went all over the country together with. And, you know, he's got his own young little fella that just won his first state championship. And it's awesome to see people be successful that help so many others as well. And that's just leading back to, you know, getting the instrumental people in place to be of benefit to so many. You know, you only have so many hours in the day and you can only help so many people. So I think it's important to bring very credible and strong people like Jake and Tate. You know, over the years, I've had tons and tons of really good friends that have been part of the TNT environment. So
I just have to have a throwback about Trevor beating me up at the gym because I thought I was a good MMA fighter, but he's a really, really, really good wrestler. So he just smashed the hell out. He smashed my boy.
He's decently well known for wrestling.
Dude.
But yeah, you have a great staff, dude. I've known Tate for a little bit, and then Jake is just he's kind of been a blessing in disguise in my life personally. Like sometimes, like I'll just text him and he just sends me something, or just when I'm in the shop and I think, and you know, anyways, I could go on forever about some of
Jake helped me. I just went in there last month because I needed something for the tendons to heal, and they hooked me up, and I put that on, and like within 10 days, I mean, with the time in my activity, but I swear that took a couple weeks off of recovery. I was able to start going back to my full shifts. I'm able to have range of movement again. Yeah, so
that's like, important.
Yeah, right. The strength is coming back. Still have to do a lot of work, but like this helped. And I came in, this is my goal, this is my problem right away. Boom. And like I said, I trust the guys. Trust all you guys there. So
just a little side note. Did I hear that Trevor Forsinger's kid just beat a sophomore college kid at an open wrestling tournament or something?
I believe so. I don't know all the facts and the
I was
data
talking
on
to a
that.
family friend that's into wrestling.
But Kale is an up-and-coming rising star. He'll have a very strong opportunity to become a 4-time state champion. I don't like to put too much pressure or accolades on young kids because a lot of things can happen with injuries or,
life.
Correct, yes. So, but the talent is there, the hard work and the effort, and obviously the guidance that Trevor's provided since he was basically came out of the womb. That's where it starts, you know. So, he is gonna.
That's cool.
I'm not quite sure on that. Yeah. But he has had a lot of success.
Yeah,
nice.
I heard. Yeah, that's just what I heard. He was wrestling. He beat the Providence guy, one of their big guys over there. So, I'm excited. Now that we've kind of gotten back into just doing this. I was, I wrestled just a little bit when I was younger, but that to me was always like the toughest sport. Like when you wanted to think of like who the manliest man is in the room. I mean, there's a lot of things that make a man, obviously, but I think that wrestling,
talk about toughness and fortitude.
Well, and just strength, conditioning, just preparedness, like everything. And there's a couple of sports where it's kind of on the individual, but I feel like as far as like wrestling goes, it's like on that person. Sure. So
what do you want out of it?
Yeah. So do you stay pretty tied to like the wrestling community then still, since you were involved? How long were you involved with North Montana?
For 10 to 12 years, roughly, from Josh, starting just around the age of 5. And obviously he went through the program all the way through a senior in high school. I stopped coaching, I believe, when he was a freshman or a sophomore. I don't remember exactly what year. As far as still being affiliated with it, not as much so as anymore. I have a few connections, family and stuff that, are still involved in the wrestling program. So when I get opportunities, I still like to go and check it out and watch.
Well, at this point now, you're starting to get like the kids of your kids that were going. Yeah. So you're like,
tell me about it.
Yeah. So it's like
easy on that, Drew.
No, I'm thinking about Tommy. Joe and I were training partners. Now Tommy's the headliner. He's doing better than both Joe and I ever could have wanted to be. Right. So it's like, it's like how things are just evolving through time. And
correct.
It's weird. I'm at this point now where I'm getting the first wave of them are grown ups.
It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is. It's the next generation. Like, you're doing way better. You guys rocking it. And obviously, between injuries and where you're at and luck, like
there's a lot of variables.
Mm-hmm. Just to see someone we know can be big. Yeah. And that's kind of what we kind of learned with Sugar Sean and Tim, and same thing. Just
Dave Dickinson.
Right, for sure.
I mean, Jim Califat, there's a couple of people that...
There's a lot of Great Falls athletes that have gone on to have, stellar careers.
So, I mean, even though you are saying that, hey, take it easy, but you look damn well for your age. I don't want to tell you.
Shit, he looks good.
I don't want to tell anyone what it is, but...
I'm not ashamed.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 54.
Okay. So then we were talking about that the other week. You and I were talking online about that picture, that memory that popped up. How long ago was that?
The last competition I did was in 2021.
Okay. And so what were you weighing in at that time?
I was roughly just competition day. I was a middleweight, roughly around 180 pounds.
Okay.
I've never been a big structured guy. Just get very lean and conditioned.
Yeah.
But
you looked stellar, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's insane. I was like, damn, dude. Whenever I feel a little lazy and I'm like, I don't, whatever. Yeah. These guys are just crushing like that. I should be able to go do an hour at the gym.
Well, I just put the Ronnie Coleman, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
I just put that on, repeat. We're good to go.
Sure. So do you just was that just kind of like something you wanted to do for yourself, or what kind of got? I mean, you've obviously competed
prior to, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what kind of got you into competing in general, and then what got that spark a couple years ago?
I've always been involved with athletics and weightlifting and stuff throughout my teenage years, and then progressed into, once obviously you get out of high school and you go to the service, there's not a lot of different opportunities unless you're doing like intramural sports and things. So I continued on with the path of the weightlifting and found fulfillment in it in so many different aspects, not just from a physique composition standpoint, but the mental aspect that it provided, and the discipline and the outlet it provided for stress. And, you know, I think a fit body is a healthy body, both physically and mentally. So it goes hand in hand. So I just, you know, continued on. I never really steered one way or the other. I've kind of been consistent throughout my entire life. I've never really been, you know, up and down with things. So, but to answer your question, I competed, but for my first time when I was 30 years old. And then I competed again when I was 40. And then I planned on competing again when I was 50 in 2020. And due to a shoulder injury, I had to have a surgery. Yeah. So I just postponed it is all. So basically that was it. Yep.
So you're on a 10-year rotation, just looking like a badass.
Yeah, I don't know if that rotation's going to continue or not, but it was fun while it lasted.
Right. And they're getting into that next phase because I see a lot of this Coach Wayne stuff now.
Sure.
And like, when did you start coaching this younger wave? When did that start?
So I've been involved in coaching outside of, you know, the wrestling and the football. I mean, coached T-ball and you name it. I coached everything when my kids were little, other than basketball. I didn't really know much about basketball.
So you just want to spend time with them there, and you're there.
Correct.
With them.
Yes. So I've been doing that, and the coaching platform. I mean, once I opened up TNT back in 1995, I'd already been, you know, coaching some clients and some other friends and family and stuff at the time, and it just kind of progressed from there. So I mean,
natural evolution.
Correct. So you know, literally I've been coaching on and off since 1995.
Oh, nice.
So I just got back into the platform under a different coaching regimen called Prevail Coaching. It's owned by a female, Callie Arouse. She was a former military member stationed here at Great Falls. And she opened it up, and she reached out, and now I'm the head men's coach on that platform, and it's just something that I enjoy doing, and hopefully we'll probably plan on doing it a few more years.
So on that platform compared to, like, you know, 1995 coaching, what's like the difference on this platform compared to, like,
just more than anything, the technology and, you know, the apps and all this different stuff. My philosophy is that obviously my level of education and knowledge has scaled in time, you know, and it continues to scale. I mean, I educate myself at least an hour a day, you know, on videos or articles or reading credible sources. There's, you know, 3 or 4 mentors that I like to look up to and review. So basically the only thing that's changed, like I say, is the work ethic and the consistency in developing habits day to day has to be in place and set. That's first and foremost. You can't help anybody, whether, you know, if they're not adhering and being compliant, they're just spinning their wheels, you know? So basically, other than that, Drew, I mean, I think my protocol has been pretty consistent. And with that being said, I think my track record and history of bringing in, you know, conditioned athletes and, you know, from amateur to pro level. I have coached a pro classic physique competitor just last year in his first pro show. I was his coach for his original show. He was a teammate of Josh's at Arizona State University on the wrestling team. So that's how we have the connection. And so I mean, pretty.
So you're really liking the new platform. So like on the apps. So are you doing like remote coaching too then?
That's mostly what it is, Drew.
Okay, so it's a little easier for you to really do that because you can just say, okay.
Correct.
It just bleeps over, oh, you did 15 sets at da-da-da. Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a learning curve on my end with the old technology. I'm not really into that stuff.
Just send me a picture of your pen and paper.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Drew. I mean, if you came into my... That's legit, people.
Seriously.
I just hired a new kid the other day, and I was like, "Hey, here's our you know, time clock. It's an old calendar where you write your name on it and put your hours in and out." And I think he was like, What's going on here? Is this guy gonna pay me? You know,
does it got the stamp? It got the stamper on it.
Not even that. It's a pencil.
Literally. So I just trust you to be here.
It's so awesome. Yeah. So like as a coach. Like, how does it make you feel? Like, obviously, if someone's paying money, you know, as a business owner, you want to take that money in, but it's like, do you get to a certain point where you cut them off? Like, hey, this is a waste of my time. You're obviously wasting your time. Or how do you kind of go about that? Someone that wants the change, but then they aren't doing the necessary steps. You can only be so nice about it, obviously.
Sure. I've been fortunate. Most of the clients that I've worked with are, goal driven, self-motivated. They're after a particular goal, so their mindset is pretty focused. It has been a challenge. I did have another coaching platform at one time that we did lifestyle coaching, and I still do lifestyle coaching. I don't just adhere to competition and prep. But the lifestyle coaching is a little bit harder for the general public or the wellness aspect of it, because you're taking somebody that doesn't have like a set determined goal and trying to guide them. So a lot of times the adherence and the compliance it's minimal. So I have different styling approaches with each client, depending on how they're receptive of constructive criticism or positivity. Some people you just need to be downright brutally like hard on them. Other people you can't do that. And it's just like any coaching realm, so kind of get the feel of that and just move forward accordingly.
So do you kind of miss the old, obviously things are good with the change. I feel like some things are a little soft in my opinion nowadays, but, I remember sometimes at wrestling practice, we'd go down into what's the place with the basketball, the Heisey or right down, what's the
downtown,
right next to the Heisey. They have that basement.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, the rec center. And that was like the powerhouse lifting spot back in the day. And I remember like sometimes we'd go down there to do a little lifting, and that's where like just the hardcore dudes are because they had the one room and then it was like off to the side.
I owned that facility for a bit.
Okay.
So it was powerhouse, Jim Ramsey and Willie Weaver, some long time, exceptional power lifters that are great coaches and mentors themselves. We purchased the facility from there and turned it into called Hardcore Training Gym, which kind of specialized in junior high and high school athletes that were mostly high level, that were very goal driven, that produced some pretty incredible numbers and records throughout the state in my time coaching them. Where were we at with that question there?
I was just kind of
talking about how everybody's gotten soft.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you miss the old days when?
Boy, do I ever!
Well, and you can. There are a lot of people that are good with, but I feel like there's even like tough guys who, if you bust their balls a little bit, I'm not acting like I'm perfect. Sometimes you catch me at the wrong moment, but it's like even people that you think are dudes sometimes are just kind of like, oh man, that was shocking.
The society as a whole and in general, especially with social media and the way people conduct themselves, just not of my interest. I like being humble. I generally like speaking. My results speak for themselves. You take the old school MMA athletes around here like Leo Berser. He was our first ever sponsored athlete through TNT, and till this day, he's one of the nicest, most humble people that come in, very polite and well-mannered to everyone with so much respect. But you put him in the cage, and he wants to knock your head off. And I think that's a testament of kind of that old school mentality. Even in the wrestling rooms and stuff, I've gone and watched practices compared to when my son was in there. Things are much different, way softer. When Coach Bob Zadek ran the Zadek Fanatics in the North Montana Wrestling Club. A lot different.
My brother was getting his ass kicked quite a bit for talking while Bob was talking.
Funny story. I won't take much time, but literally I think it was the second, third day of practice ever for Josh. Coach Zadek kicked him out, and he was, 5 years old. And I go to pick him up after practice. He's sitting in the locker room by himself. Like, I got there a little early, and I'm like, what's going on, man? Like, I got kicked out. He was crying and stuff. And so took him home that night, and we were talking about it. And he's like, I'm not going back to practice. I'm not wrestling anymore. And da-da-da. So I was like, I'm going to go talk to Coach Zadek, see what was going on. And because Josh was like, I don't even know why I got kicked out. And so I went in there and asked Zadek. I said, hey, Coach, what's going on kicking out my 5-year-old kid? And he's like, I said, I told him, he said he does not even sure what he got kicked out for. He goes, well, there's a bunch of kids talking, and I just thought he was the toughest one, and I knew he could handle it, so I kicked him out first. And that's a true story. You can ask Josh will to this day,
And
know,
he
they
did go back to wrestling.
used to get
practice,
field goal
just,
kicked in the butt, if they weren't behaving, and that's legit,
Yeah, you can't do that.
That was I was only there for a little bit. My brother continued wrestling, but just thinking of some of the people at that time, like the Zadok brothers were both. I think I was doing that around like 94, 95 for a little bit, and just the Tolliver brothers were there. This kid named Jeremy, I can't remember his name. He's a little bit older than me. But yeah, and then like Josh was there, Jared Rohrback, Mitch was there,
Cole Mendenhall.
Yeah. And I don't think I knew those guys super well, but it just like there was just in that era when I remember being there for a little bit. It's just people that went on to be just straight killers, you know what I mean, in the sport. So
well, dedication and iron sharpens iron, you know. So.
Tough rooms back in the day. There were some hammers in there that only made each other better, and it wasn't just locally. They would go around the entire country and compete nationally and win, if not place, at most tournaments they entered. So that's why there's a handful of them that went on to D1 schools and had success at that level. And it's a testament to the coaching platform that Alan Rohrback, who took over for Bob Zadok, that was Jared and Mitch's dad, was a phenomenal coach, and Trevor Florshinger after that put years and years under his belt, and countless hours of just his own free time because he loved the sport and he wanted to see kids do excel. So he comes from a very strong wrestling background family himself, and that tradition, I believe, will just continue to grow from there.
It seems like it. Yeah. And now with there's no excuse. Even if you have a daughter, women's, girls wrestling is the highest growing sport.
I think that's so cool.
I know. Like I said, I don't feel bad for the guys, but there's a whole generation of douchebags that are just going to get flopped on their head. It's going to be amazing.
You see some chick just noogie in some monster.
You're just going to hear a wham in the bar. It's because someone got handsy.
Doesn't the University of Providence have like the number one women's wrestler in some weight?
They're pretty well stacked, Paris. They have, I don't quote me on this, but out of the 10 weight classes, I think they have 7 or 8 nationally ranked wrestlers, with a couple of them number one seeds or number one rankings that I've seen. So I just went up there about a month ago when the season was getting started and did a little speech to the wrestling, both the men's and the women's, and I watched some of the females practice, and some high level athletes up there. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, just watching it evolve.
Sure.
We should go get slammed around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm still healing on this ankle.
I would like to go and just try some of their like strength and conditioning and their cardio.
Sure.
And just see like where I'm at if and at all on the radar at all. But it'd be fun just to push myself a little bit, and it'd be fun to go see it because it's Comac and Ty, right? Or up there.
Yep, Coach Comac and then Ty Vince, and then Cole Mendenhall, which was he was a 4-timer that graduated in Josh's class.
Yeah, that was a whole Zach, Cole, and then
Dylan.
Dylan, that's
and they also have another brother Logan.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. Yeah, we have a family friend, and his kids are really into wrestling, and I think one of the brothers teaches the younger kids wrestling stuff, and he just went to Iowa with them, and they did 2 weeks. The kid's like 9 or 10, and he's a freaking monster.
Sure.
He was over in Iowa. And so how did you get into wrestling? Was Josh just interested in that, or was that kind of just the sport in town?
No, we were doing the Taekwondo, and Toshi.
Toshi Khan.
Yeah, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but Josh was struggling with being too aggressive and having too much contact, to be honest with you. It was for a 5-year-old at the time. They weren't. And he said maybe he'd be more apt to get into wrestling. And I had a couple friends that were in the sport of wrestling at the time through, acquaintances at the store and stuff, and just got him signed up and kind of went from there.
Cool.
So he was the toughest 5-year-old in all of karate, and then he went to wrestling, and he did a great job there too.
Yeah, he did a pretty decent job. He's a great young man. And
how's he doing? He's
doing great. Yeah, he has a little boy now that just is going to be 2 years old in March, and he has another one on the way that's going to be expecting anytime right around February 1st as well.
That's exciting.
So
nice. So how did you? So you were into lifting. So how did you decide to start a business? Was there anything like what you started here in town, or how did that all evolve and become a thing?
Great question. I was actually in the military at the time, Jake. training out on Maelstrom Air Force Base. And at the time I was married. My ex-wife at the time was heavily involved in the lifting and competing aspect. So I started, I was very intrigued by the scientific benefits of the supplements. So I just, even in high school and stuff, I was already reading all the Flex magazines and muscular developments and muscle mags, whatever I could get my hand on, dissecting all the different information. So I started ordering some products for myself and storing them in my basement. And I was stationed on Maelstrom doing it on base. And what started out as just a little gig of, helping a half dozen friends out, started to get to about 30 people a week knocking at my door wanting supplements.
I think you're selling drugs. Like,
Yeah,
what do you got going on?
MPs are asking questions.
Protein powder? You want me to believe that?
Right. Yeah, so it was just a weird, weird transition. I had about a year and a half left in my military enlistment, and I opened up Total Nutrition and Fitness at the time in 95, and just kind of, I won't call it luck or fate. I think it's a combination of many variables, hard work being one of them, because when I very first opened, it was definitely not easy. There was a lot of growing pains and a lot of long nights and days, and should I say years, to get to where it, presently is.
Yeah.
But it was something I enjoyed and I looked forward to. I liked, helping others and the challenge, and just something I have a strong passion for, I guess, Jake.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a little visitor over here.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I kind of got distracted there. Sorry. So how did, so you got the business going, and then did you really have a plan with what you wanted to do with it? Did you want to become like a trainer, or have those two worlds kind of come together? Did you think it would last like it did, or how did,
Well, I never put one, too much, how do I want to say, I never bank on failure. I always think of success,
right.
But there's so many uncertainties when you're approaching these things, especially, with the trajectory of change of time and those types of things. But I knew if I banked on my own drive and work ethic and surrounded myself with positive, like-minded people, I could be a success or successful. So I just took it one day at a time. I never was driven by like ultimate goals or long-term vision. And I think that's a secret to success that a lot of people, could be of benefit from, is staying in the moments and in the present. Too many people get long-term aspirations and want success overnight, whether it's in business or athletics or friendships or relationships or whatever it might be, finances, patience is key, and having some form of a game plan obviously makes a pivotal role in your success. But I don't know if having so much of a laid out plan was what made it happen or not. I just showed up every day and gave it my all, and I feel just being present day to day is part of each individual's success. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, for sure. Well, I remember you guys were helping my mom out when she was training. She was doing powerlifting when I was in high school for a while, and you guys got her hooked up and looking good. So
yeah. I did not know that about your mother, but
yeah, she won a smaller tournament in Helena for her division, her age and division, females division. So she was training with what's Josh Winter's dad's name? Is it Jim, right?
Oh, John.
John, yeah.
John Winterud.
Yeah. So she was training with him. That would have been like 2004, 3, 4, 5. So she was training him down in the dungeon down there for a while with him and whatnot.
Which is like you're talking about that softness. Now you can't even drop your dumbbells with someone blowing a horn at you.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't go to that place.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not that's kind of how does it feel for you? I feel like the fitness community, and kind of like the same with the MMA stuff, and that's why I enjoy doing this, is because I feel like they kind of have, I don't want to say like a negative, people that aren't fit, or I don't know if I don't want to say so.
If they're not in the life, it's a lifestyle on both of them. You have to make lifestyle choices.
When I feel like it has kind of like a negative people that are outside of like fitness stuff kind of look at it negatively, like, oh, this muscle head, or this person thinks that, you know, this or that. And it's like, all I've ever found in the fitness world, in the community, is nothing but positivity and people that are actually rooting for you. I feel like there's a lot of people that think they're judgmental because you have a 6-pack or have a nice butt or whatever. I feel like that kind of gets a certain
Stigma.
bad look, or stigma,
Yeah,
exactly. So
I think anybody can judge, you know, a book by its cover, and the people that are the ones that judge the first and foremost are the ones that lack their own security. They're insecure in their own, you know, health and wellness. I only feel like people that are, you know, driven and want to be successful, they always want to encourage other people. So, you know, it's like anything in life. You're going to have people that don't agree with it or don't understand it, you know, especially with, you know, it's a very unique, when you get to the competitive side of things where, you know, you're running around in your underwear mostly, or women are in their bikinis, and it's just
my baby oil.
Yeah. It's just weird though how people sexualize the sport when, you know, that's not what it's about. Right. You know, if people understood the commitment into habits and, you know, the discipline it takes to get there, it benefits their life as a whole. Yeah. You know, you're either going to pay the price, you know, now or later. And I think, you know, health being of importance is going to, you know, minimize like hospital stays and illness.
Yeah. Recovery from major
for
surgeries.
Sure. There's so many different, you know, positive aspects of it. And I think, you know, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and you're finding enjoyment out of it, that's what's most important.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, I found nothing but just acceptance and people cheering me on and trying to like give me every bit of, you know, advice that they can to help me. And it's been fun, dude. I've had a great like journey as far as like in the community and stuff. Sure. And everyone thinks that like going to the gym is hard, but honestly, it's the dedication outside of the gym, the dieting and the not eating bad foods. And when I was doing that, when I first quit drinking like 7 years ago, it was like a year. I finally had a 6-pack coming in. I had lost almost 100 pounds, and it's just incredible. Yeah, it took a year though of like, you know, and people would say like, oh, you know, like what diet are you on? Or I wish I could do that. And it's like, you can.
Anybody can.
Yeah. When I would still eat shitty, like I would still have pizza or a burger. Absolutely. But it's like I was going to the gym though 5 or 6 days a week for 2 hours a day. And it just...
And Jake, like in a year, that's still miraculous. Like your progress in a year that I watched was like insane. Yeah. Like I literally seen it. So it's like not a small feat, just FYI. I'm not going to let you downplay it.
When it just felt good. It was never about like losing the weight. That was obviously just a great byproduct of it. But it just like, I always was happy, you know, doing some type of physical activity. And luckily, like I said, my friend Jeff Gardepy, I was like just quitting drinking. And he offered to get me 2 months access back in the day.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. As soon as I started doing it, it just gave me, because I was wrong in the head. And that's what a lot of people don't understand too, is that if you're not right with your mind and your soul and your body, it's like all of those things have to function properly.
100%.
So it just, I was a little twisted in the head, and it just him reaching.
We're all a little twisted in the head.
I know. I was gonna say I'm still twisted in the head, but in a more positive way.
For sure.
Like rebar. Fine.
What about can you talk a little bit about your supplement company? So FUELED, and kind of like navigating, because I've heard stories like just from like other brands and whatnot where they've like mixed like something in vats with like something else, and then like you see like with USADA or something with UFC to where they're not mixing their supplements properly. Do you ever like encounter anything like that, or kind of tell me your journey with that?
Sure. Well, FUELED Supplements was founded by my son Josh and myself in 2017. Started off as a small 6-product brand. Everything's been limited funds and self, you know, made and manufactured from the get-go. You know, and obviously from 2017 to now, there's been a lot of growth. And, you know, we went from 6 products, I believe we're up to 20, with some products having 4 to 6 flavors. So there's been a lot of, you know, effort and time commitment put into doing that. But to answer your question, as far as being concerned with, you know, impurities or improper products, supplements, or improper products being in our supplements, we use super high quality manufacturing facilities. One of them's right here. We have 2 different ones, or 3, just depending. One of them's right here in Billings, Montana, called All American Pharmaceutical. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies, a lot of supplement companies are, that are not going to tell who your manufacturers are because they don't want people to steal. I'm transparent. Like, what, if you think you can do it, let's get on and do it, because it's not that easy. So anyhow, All American Pharmaceutical is owned by Dr. Jeff Galini. Mm-hmm. He's been in the industry for 28 years, I believe, has one of the largest manufacturing facilities in the United States, the cleanest one that I've ever seen. And our products go through a 3-phase certification process from the time the ingredients come into the facility until the time they leave. They all get certified, batch analysis tested. So we don't run into any of those problems, Paris, but I know there's a lot of companies that they're CGMP compliant, good manufacturing practice, WADA compliant, NSF. There's so many different measuring variables that they use, but there's a lot of gray supplement companies out there that just manufacture impure products, and it's
heavy metals and all types of crap you don't want to do.
I mean, even they've had companies that put, steroids in their products, and the consumers weren't aware of it.
Like, this really works.
It did work too. People, they sold a lot of them. I
bet they did.
Made tons of money, but they ended up in jail as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So I forgot what I was going to say.
Got this, Paris. I believe in you.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Again.
So yeah, I guess kind of to piggyback on what he was asking, he was like, so what really goes into you like designing your own product, or what does it take to like get something on your shelves? Like what type of, behind the scenes stuff are you doing to, obviously like we all trust you, you guys provide great products, but what kind of work do you have to do to bring that product to us?
Countless hours of research myself. Jake now is part owner of FUELED. Josh sold his shares off to Jake about a year ago, just due to wanting to go a different direction in his life. Yeah. So, but Jake's been there from the beginning as well. It's been instrumental in helping, provide insight and, his knowledge and guidance as well. So basically, we decide on what type of product we're looking to market, do all the research on the different ingredients that we would like to put into that product, and then we will submit that information into a manufacturing facility. From there, the manufacturing facility will ensure there's compliancy, and obviously there's all these products are legal. There's nothing that's illegal that due to what is the word I'm thinking of, due to compliance through USDA and things like that. So once they receive it, we get samples tested out, and obviously we create labels. There's a whole 9 yards to it, but basically once we compile the formula, it gets approved by a manufacturer, and then from there they manufacture the product and get it on our shelves. It's a timely process. It takes 6 months plus to get a new product on the shelves with all the beta testing. Once we get samples, I mean, a lot of products will take, some products will nail within 1 or 2 samples. Some we've done dozens, it just depends on the, the particular product.
And to see where it's working, where like science.
Correct.
Yeah. That's
what
awesome.
type of effect it has. And one of the struggles is, we efficaciously dose our products so high that there's a lot of companies out there that their products taste like Kool-Aid. Well, when you're taking bitter ingredients like we all use, but have like a triple amount of that ingredient in a product, it's really hard to get the flavoring system down. So when we first started, we did run into a few obstacles with the flavoring, just due to the manufacturers weren't used to having such high, we have a pre-workout out there with 31 grams of ingredients, which is still now, it was 1 NMF. You remember doing the video for us, Paris?
I remember that. One of my favorite pre-workouts.
It's a phenomenal pre-workout, and at the time is one of the heaviest dosed, if not the heaviest dosed pre-workout in the industry. Now, C-Bummed, Chris Bumstead, Mr. Olympia 6-time by chance. They have a product. It's called Thavage. We had our product out 2 years before they did. And if you look at it, put them side by side, they're almost identical to exactly what we have. So that just gives ourselves the credibility, insight that we were doing things right for a long time. Right. You know, Raw Nutrition, CBum, they're a $500 million company now.
Yeah.
You know,
like, hey, get this man a check over here.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, come on now. Did you guys copy that or what?
That's funny that you brought that up, because I was literally just going to ask that. Like, what? I mean, obviously, it's hard enough just to create the product in itself, but then how do you make it taste good? Do you leave it up to the people?
The manufacturing does that. They have flavoring companies that they will send the products out to, and they'll flavor match those for the specific flavors you're seeking.
I love your guys' stuff. I was using, not that long ago, I was using a different product for a little bit, and I've never been big.
It made us sick.
Yeah, I'm not big on pre-workout, but I was not a fan of the pre-workout, and just the protein didn't taste good, and I wasn't feeling like I was seeing quite the same.
Nope. Blood rounds. That's my favorite one.
That's a very high stim.
I get through that. I'm like, yeah. But if I take that and I don't go to the gym, I literally just turn into like Mr. Hyde. Like, you can feel it happening. You're like, I just go to
That's got some of the beta alanine in there. You may get a little bit of that red tingly effect to the body. So
yeah, at this point anymore, I'm like, no, it's fine. This is normal.
There's so much crazy science behind it. Just like when you look at just the ingredients on there, and then you start listening about like macros and micros. Or Jake just got me into that recovery stuff, because he was telling me about was it BACCs or whatever?
Branched chain amino acids.
Yeah, and it's just, there's just so much of it. When I think I know a little bit about it, then you start
It's just like any industry. I mean, I couldn't set up any of this equipment in here, and Paris can do this with his eyes closed. So you know, just trying to specialize, and I don't want to call myself an expert by any means, but somebody that's very well researched and educated in, you know, what we do.
Right.
So
one like we were saying. Oh, good.
Oh, I was going to say, I remembered what I was going to say. How did you find that manufacturer in Billings? Was it something that you just wanted to keep it local, or was it just like the best one, or kind of
combination of things, Paris? That's a great question. I had known about them for a period of time, and then we went down to a bodybuilding show in 2000, and it was right when we were getting started. They were not our first original manufacturer. Our first original manufacturer was out of Georgia. So we went down there, and I had known Jeff Galini previously from interactions from some shows when we had been down there in years previous. So when we had our booth there, I just started talking to him, and I knew that was a man of integrity and high standards, and had a facility that was, you know, second to none. Visited it and was incredibly, I mean, absolutely floored by every aspect of it's a high.
Get the lawyers talking today. We're getting this deal signed.
Oh, it's great. It's a very incredible facility. So basically, you know, once that happened, I just knew it was a great fit. And plus, Montana made products was kind of a cool, you know, cool factor to be in place as well.
Yeah, the name is All American Pharmaceutics.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
sure.
Yeah, no, because I've done like a lot of video and stuff for Fueled and for TNT,
Sure.
and that's how I started like using a lot of the Fueled products, which I pretty much like only have Fueled stuff now.
Appreciate that.
Which and I love all the stuff and like that one NMF or one NF. MF.
One NMF.
Yeah, there you go. It's easier just to say it, like the acronym. But but yeah, that was like one of my absolute favorite pre-workouts. Because like, you know, there's some days you're just like, don't feel like going to the gym. You take that, and you're like, I'm ready to go.
It's a real clean,
one of my favorites,
performance-based product. So yeah.
So what led you to wanting to start your own company? Were you saying, hey, I think I could provide a better product to people? Or, I mean, you were already doing obviously pretty good with
Sure. I'm always about giving credit where credit's due. I'll have to give Josh the credit on that one. He came to me after one of our bodybuilding shows. And, you know, I had already been involved in a handful, well, I'm going to say 2 other supplement companies as a silent investor, and had just lost a substantial amount of money that was, you know, being part owner. I didn't have any voice in the direction of the company. I was just a silent investor, more or less. And Josh, being the competitive individual he is, and also very loyal, was pretty pissed off about the whole situation. And he's like, Dad, you can do this. We can do this. Mm-hmm. And we just embarked on the journey together, and just got it moving, man.
That's awesome.
Another one day at a time type of thing.
It was a process. I believe it took us close to a year to get from when he came up with the idea to me, and we got our first products on the shelf. It was almost about just exactly a year. So.
Well, I love them. Like we were saying, like I switched the product for a little bit, and I was not a fan, and I've gone back to your guys' stuff, and I like your guys' stuff.
And by the way, this isn't sponsored by TNT or Fueled Supplements. This is like literally just. I just wanted to say that, not sponsored by them.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't looking for sponsors.
I'm happy to talk about any brands or anything. I don't have anything to hide. Like there's a lot of good quality brands out there as well. People come into our store, and if we don't have it in our line, and I feel, or if it's something we have in our line that it might be a better suit for an individual that is just as high quality a product, I'll recommend that. And I think that's one of the things too is, what we try to do is take the guesswork out of, the situation for the clients. Too many people get influenced by marketing, and now with TikTok and social media and all these, like I said earlier, it's so flooded. And, just because, a high level athlete or a bodybuilder like Conor McGregor's into, the bucked up scene now and everything else, just because an athlete endorses it doesn't mean it's giving him any measure of his personal success, So.
Well, Conor McGregor, I don't think bucked up got him as bucked up as whatever he took for that broken leg. Actually, I think when I said that to Jake, I wonder whatever you gave Conor. Yeah. He didn't know. No.
So what has it been like for you then, kind of watching Josh's journey? I mean, he had a shoulder injury, because he was on that TV show. And did he get injured on the show, or?
Josh's journey started back right outside of high school. He had 4 back surgeries at Arizona State University his freshman year of wrestling there, and kind of led to some other addictions and some problems, which, I'm super proud of that. He's been clean and sober for over 5 years now as well.
Good for him.
He's had some challenges, but his journey has been inspirational to watch. I mean, he's kind of done it all for a young man, and now he's finally settled into, a place in an outlet that I think serves him well, with his ability to communicate to others and inspire and lead. He's, spent countless hours and years, as Paris can attest, behind the mic, and he's kind of a natural at, doing these types of things. Paris is going down there this weekend to help assist him in doing some footage, which we've been super grateful for Paris's involvement with Fueled, and just as the friendship that, we've developed over the years together. I mean, I'm very thankful for what he's done. And I think that's what's, I want most people to understand is, what is important to us is the support. That's what is, our driving factor to kind of be as strong and as helpful as we can to the community. We've done a lot in different aspects. I've donated to so many different organizations, and a lot of times, yes, is it financial for sure, but I've also given my time freely and my staff has done the same. And, I think those are important things that people miss these days.
Yeah.
Everybody's so money. And, I guess this world is just a little too fast paced for my liking at times.
I feel you, brother. Trust me. I'm a grumpy old man in a young man's
in a good way.
So. What was it like? I'm sure it had to have been tough for him, being such a good physical athlete, wrestler, and all these other accolades. What was it like for you as a father, trying to help him get through those times? I mean, I'm sure it was pretty dark there for me, and just, I mean, it's one thing to have to go through 4 back surgeries. I mean, mentally, I can't even imagine what that do. But someone who was so physical, I mean, I remember him right before he was getting big there, and it just. So, what was it like for you to? I mean, you were saying you give motivational speeches. What was it like for you, or like, what did you have to, say to him to really help him? I
don't ever live in regret by any means. I feel at the time I did the best I could in the direction I could provide from a parenting standpoint. Do I feel I could have been a little bit more present during some of Josh's tough times? And it wasn't that I didn't want to be. I just don't think he wanted to have that type of presence, in his life. But we've gotten through all of that. It was tough at times to kind of, you see a really high level Division I athlete, go from that to completely, Josh never was much of a partier in high school. I mean, I'm sure he did some things that I was unaware of, every kid did. And I hope he would, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, but I know he wasn't smoking pot and doing those things in high school. And, you know, to kind of see the downhill spiral take effect, you know, from those surgeries and lost dreams and addictions to, you know, pain pills and whatever it might be. That's his story. And I know he's not, you know.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to.
No, not at all. Yeah. He's not shy, or he speaks freely of it. And but I don't want to speak for him. But just as his dad, I wanted to, you know, be as supportive and loving as I can. And I think he knew I was there. But I'm helping a friend right now currently go through a situation that has really resonated with me and made me, you know, think back to the times that Josh was going through that and making it really wishing I was more present, because wasn't as understanding. I guess I've never gone through that. So I didn't have that firsthand experience. And the mentality is like, just stop, you know, what are you doing? You know, and it's not that easy, you know? And
well, as someone who I've had multiple issues with a couple different things, and you know, we've all got our own story, but I guarantee he appreciates every minute that you were there. You know, and it's even with my parents. I mean, I got kicked out of my house for the first time when I was like 15.
Sure.
And
same
back then. You know, back then it was tough to see it as they were doing what was right for my family altogether. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I guarantee you he appreciates.
I hope so. I appreciate that, Jake. Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and sometimes a part of loving us is having to let us chill out a little bit and figure our own shit out.
Tough love is sometimes the hardest love, but sometimes that's what the direction you have to give, you know. And getting back to the soft parenting aspect, you know, I just, it was never my style. Right or wrong, I was very hard on my kids, like very hard, and they can attest to it. I was very demanding, and especially, you know, with Josh, and that did, you know, create some hardships in our relationships that have been fixed and cured for the most part. But I also think it's also led to some of the success that he's had in life as well. Like, you know, if I was soft and didn't push him, would he have been what he was or where he's at today? You know, so there's so many different ways to look at it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being hard these days. I think it's more beneficial than it's adverse. So
when I look back, it was, you know, I'm sure there was a couple times where I got my ass whipped a little harder than I should, but if I look back at a lot of those instances, I was creating the issue for myself. Sure. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to look at it.
Well, and I mean, you know, it's just being real about the situation. It's tough to say, hey, I was being a fuck up or whatever. But
growing up's hard, and, you know, admittance is even a harder thing at times. And I was no different than you guys as a kid. You know, I got kicked out of my house my freshman year and went and lived with my dad because I was a little asshole, you know.
It's a good thing, military kind of saved you, set you straight.
Yeah, cleaned up my act a lot. I mean, I was getting in trouble even when I was on the delayed entry program. I think I got arrested 3 times for fighting and disorderly conduct, stuff I'm not proud of, but you know, it is what it is when you're 18 years old and
full of testosterone and having a good time, dude.
Does that ever change?
No.
That's one thing, no matter what changes with technology and everything else, there will just always be young males.
Sure.
Just,
that's right.
Yeah, young, dumb, and full of cum. I don't really have much more. I think we are getting close to that hour.
Okay, well, just a segue, you know, December 14th's coming up here at the Four Seasons. That's going to be a stacked card.
Yeah, you guys talked about that.
That's what I want to say is thank you to you guys. So you kind of said earlier, you guys, I feel like I know so many people that you guys sponsor either on the end of fighting or just the fitness world.
Sure.
And just thank you guys for that, because
Appreciate
it takes, I know that for the fighters especially, you know, I'm sure to be able to get protein or however that works out, that takes a nice load off of their backs. And
anything helps.
Yeah, and I just appreciate it because I feel like I know at least 4 or 5 dudes that you guys sponsor.
Thank you very much. We try to be as proactive in supporting the community in all aspects as we can, and you know that the combative sports, the MMA, the wrestling has a special place in my heart for the enjoyment that it's brought to my life, and I feel giving back is a nice way to show appreciation. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys do it a lot. I mean, whether you're literally sponsoring people, you're sponsoring me with awesome help and stuff like that. We all appreciate it.
And we're just as grateful. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Well, it's an awesome local community, place. So we love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Wayne, for everything you've done with me, or done for me. Also, helped me with my fitness journey and everything. And you know, of course, like when I first started my video business, like being like one of my first like clients, but you know, became a good friend.
That's an honor, man.
Yeah, so no, it's been really good. So thank you for everything like that.
You've provided more content and phenomenal footage that I could ever dream of having, and hopefully we can link up and get some more in the future. I know you're a busy man these days, but
absolutely,
there's some things in the horizon. Hopefully that we'll use some promotional work and videography on. So
yeah, absolutely. I'll always have you in my schedule.
Awesome, appreciate it.
It's a trip watching him work. He's
he's a machine.
Watching him edit, I'm just like trying to find one little thing, and he just
that's his niche. You know, like we all have them. So
yeah. He's been doing it long enough. It's just intuitive, like he's saying. He's like, oh, I got to zoom in. I got to change that. And he's, oh, there's a shortcut I put there.
Sometimes I'll be editing too fast, or my computer can't keep up, and it has you get that little spinning wheel. It's like, oh, come on.
I used to have that problem too, but my brain doesn't work quite as fast anymore.
I think that's just my brain in general when I'm hearing stuff.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you a lot, Wayne. I know there's plenty of people in the community that appreciate you, Jake, Tate, anyone else you have working there. We love the place. Total Nutrition and Tanning people. If you haven't been there, stop in. They're great people with some great advice.
I was saying, I want to pop the address out real quick.
1310 9th Avenue South, just off of 10th Avenue, behind Taco John's and across from Mystic Rhythms Tattoo, I believe.
Yeah, and the card shops right there.
So.
Also, do any socials that you want to shout out, or your Prevail stuff that you're doing?
The Prevail is under Vitality Coaching. Actually, we're working on getting our men's platform. So, but if there's any women that are interested in coaching, the Vitality Coaching platform will cater to all that full needs and spectrums that they need. Prevail Coaching, you can go on to FUELED Supplements, Total Nutrition and Tanning on Instagram or Facebook, or DM me on Facebook, Wayne Morin. I'd be happy to, get you guys pointed in the right direction. So, but
awesome,
cool. Yeah, we'll link all of that stuff down in the description and everything as well. So
just click on it.
Awesome. And this, like I said, episode's brought to you by Great Northern and also Fresh Bread Productions.
Fresh Bread Productions for all your video and photo needs, both commercial and personal video and photo needs.
All right. Through the Ropes podcast, we're out.